1.
Welcome back, y'all.
We're back for another episode.
Season 3, episode 3, 3 for 3. I'm excited.
Yes. Reason.
Yeah. This topic might not be as spicy as last week's episode, but it's well needed. It's needed because I know a lot of people struggle with this, and I know a lot of people are dealing with this or have dealt with this, and they can resonate. It'll resonate with you guys. So there's that.
So, this week's
Wait,
topic...
I wanted to say something.
Oh, go ahead.
Why did I just glitch? Okay, I was gonna say something like, because lately, like, everyone knows, like, the past 2, maybe even 3 months, I've been, like, not myself. But today I feel really, really good. Peggy came over, everything was done. She didn't have to do anything besides hook up the laptop. I was on time today. I feel really good. So there's that.
You gotta start somewhere. That's a good improvement.
Right. Especially with the 3 months that's been happening, and it's not been good. It's not been good. But I feel great. I'm excited. I was excited to record today. Peggy came in with low energy, but we're gonna fix that. We're going to fix that today. Okay? Okay. So what's the topic for today?
For season 3, episode 3, our topic for today, the importance of individuality and identity.
Yes. One thing I used to struggle when I was in relationships.
There's a lot to unpack here. Granted, we may not be able to get everything or whatever. Who knows? It might be a part 2 with a male guest, because that's something too, how men view individuality and their identity. Because the way us women look at things is going to be different from how men look at it. So yes, that's going to be our topic for today.
All right, so I guess when I brought this topic up, I was in the thought of when you're in a relationship, in the beginning, you're like obsessively with each other, right? You're always doing things because you want to learn more about this person. You're just like in awe of this person. But then when you guys have settled in and the honeymoon stage is over, bro, you're like, who the fuck am I? What the fuck am I doing? You haven't seen your friends in months or weeks. You haven't really chilled with your family like you normally would. And it's, for some people, it's just because they were consumed with their partner. For others, they had toxic partners who didn't allow the space for them to do things that's not with their partner. Like, it's always with their partner. And every time they would try to do something separately from their partner would find it as an issue. So I wanted to know, have you experienced this? What did you do to change that? Or when did you notice? Like, what was the aha moment that I was like, all right, I need to start creating space for just me?
And just to preface this, I'm turning to Jessica. When we talk about individuality and our identity, it's not just in an intimate relationship. It could be with friends, and sometimes you can lose yourself with your job too. So it could be business related, work related. So it's just in general. But obviously, we're gonna explain ours probably pertaining to our past relationships, maybe friendships or work relationships. So don't think of it as just a relationship between 2 people intimate with each other. No. So for me, I'll say in that relationship, my very first relationship, like when I was with like 6-7 years, what I'll say is part of it, I was young, I didn't know any better. I was 15 when I met him. He was 16, so it was only a year apart. If that. We were still babies. And at the time, I've always had friends, but it wasn't like, I was 15, 16. Y'all know, growing up in a Haitian household, as a girl, you're limited to where you can go anyway. So you're going to try to make time, like squeeze in that time when you're with your friends or where you're supposed to be somewhere you're not actually there. So like, so when I was supposed to be this place, you know, some of my friends would be in on it. Like, once I learned how to drive, this girl was letting me drive her mom's car, and we would go together and to go spend time with my boyfriend. But then my boyfriend was able, at the time, he was able to drive his mother's car. Sometimes he'll pick me up or drop me off somewhere, and then I'll walk the rest of the way, because at that time it was frowned upon for me to have a boyfriend.
Right.
Anyways, that's something that'll be a whole separate topic, because I'm not even gonna go into that. Like, when parents tell you like, oh, you shouldn't date, it's like you're gonna do the opposite. And I think they don't understand that I'm still gonna go to school. I know that my parents' mindset was focus on school, don't focus on these boys, because you know, if a child becomes a part of the picture, you're the one stuck with that baby, not them, right? And I get that, and I've always had a good head on my shoulder, I believe, to not go that route. But did I fall in love and do stupid things? Yes, but I always stayed on point with school. Like, I never let school falter, right? But this whole idea is like, no, like imagine a 16-year-old girl, 17-year-old girl telling herself, no, I shouldn't date because my parents don't want me to date. We got hormones, we got feelings. They're gonna do this total opposite. So that's something I'm gonna learn to break from when I have children. Like, you shouldn't date. You gotta sit down and really explain to them why. Because you telling me no, what does that do? I'm still gonna do it. So at that stage of my life, I wouldn't say I was overly consumed by him, but as I started to get older, it's like, you know, when I think about it now, like a lot of my time after school, when I was supposed to be doing after school program, it was spent with him. There are a few times I would like go hang with my girls, like we'll go downtown, we'll do stuff, but then as I started to get a little bit older, most of my time was consumed with him. Like any little chance that I got, I was with him. The only time I wasn't around him is obviously when I had family functions or I really had something to do with my friends. But it was when I went to college.
Girl, that was mad late.
When I went to college, like there were certain things that were building up, you know.
But like I want like the aha moment. Like, all right, I need to have a healthy separation.
The aha, girl, it took a while. The aha moment was literally like, I'll say 2008.
Y'all were well into your relationship.
Yes, but this is like a year before the breakup. This is when I started realizing like, you know, like you're slowly starting to realize, but this is what was stopping me from like realizing like I need to like separate. I was still stuck on that, but I love him.
Justin, I know this man.
It was when I don't remember the exact time frame, but it was like a few instances where I was living on campus. He had a car that at any given moment he could like spend some, and we would alternate. Like the weekend I would come down to spend time with my parents, he would come over, and then the weekend I would stay on campus, he would drive down or whatever. And there was one instance that I went out with a few friends, and wherever I was at, and I had Nextel. And Nextel, you know, back then cell phone service wasn't so great unless you had a Verizon. So I get a call, but I don't know I got a call. It didn't ring on my end, and I get home, I get to my dorm, and I finally get to call him back. Oh, I called you, da, da, da. And I was like, well, I was with my friends, like, oh, I don't know those girls. Like, why do you need to know them? You fucking met them, right? In passing, and off the strength that he came on campus.
Says the man who cheated on you like 1,000,000,001 times.
Exactly.
I don't know those girls. Bitch, I don't know the girls you've been fucking.
Exactly. So he does this whole thing like, now that I realize as an adult, there's a thin line between like checking in with your significant other off of safety purposes and checking in when they want to know where you're at every given second of the day. And back then I didn't realize that wasn't good and that wasn't healthy, and I was losing myself in that way. Like I thought it was normal to do that. So after breaking up with him and I got into a relationship where he wasn't so good either.
Yeah, but he wasn't
it wasn't as like that. We were still doing the same thing, expecting to be checking in and stuff, and there were times we argued about that. Like we were arguing about it, like, oh, I don't gotta check in, da, 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 da. And I'm like, yes, you do. Like literally, if I could watch myself back then the way I was arguing,
you'd be like cringy.
Cringy, right? But now I realize that I'm like, yo, me and my significant other now, we're two different individuals that had two separate lives before we got together, right? And there's no reason why I expect this man to upheave himself. We're not married. You know what I mean? Upheave himself to stop doing whatever he was doing prior to coming to me. Prior to meeting me and becoming my boyfriend. At the end of the day, yes, when you get into a relationship and y'all like exclusive, there's certain things like you have to be mindful of when it comes to your partner. Things that you would do outlandishly single, your partner may not like it when y'all together.
Yeah.
But to expect this person to lose themselves and you become them, even when you're married, like to lose, and it happens in marriages, like you start losing yourself because you know, as a husband or as a wife, I'm supposed to be doing all these things, and then when you add children into that, all your focus go into your children, you lose a whole sense of that. But the aha moment for me was literally a year before the breakup. I forgot what happened. I forgot what took place, but, you know, physical abuse was a part of it, him putting his hands on me. And I was like, you know what, this ain't it. But it took me another like 5 months or so going into 2009 for me to realize this is the last straw. It took me a while to eventually break free because it's like, this is the only person you knew from when you thought you were in love. It wasn't like the puppy love stage like elementary school or middle school when you had a crush. This is like someone I actually was with, went to prom with me, saw me graduate from high school, going to college. I was like going into my second or third year in college when I finally broke up with this man. And when I look at the pictures, I was like, yo, I was mad skinny. And it wasn't like, because I was younger, part of it was me due to stress, like stressing over this person, like calling him every second. If I'm not at home or at work, I was with him. Even if I did step out to go out to eat with friends and stuff like that, me and you, crazy enough, me and you still had our little dates and stuff like that. But once I dropped you off, I went straight to him.
I had similar issues with, like, there were certain friends that were alarming to my ex, and there were certain friends that he was just like, I don't fuck with that, like, I don't like her. But it's because that person, and not to say Peggy wasn't this person, but like, he had, whenever I said I'm going on Peggy, there was no fucking issues. It was just like, okay, whatever, bye.
He didn't know I was undercover hood rat.
Hood rat.
Whole hood rat. But there were certain friends that were very vocal about, like, his like, control of the relationship. And so instead of taking accountability and be like, you know what, maybe I'm doing a little too much, maybe let me step back, let me let you do your thing. He was like, no, she's not your friend, or no, she's not a good friend, or blah, 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 blah. And any little instance that he would manipulate it to be like, see, she wouldn't put you in, why would she put you in that instance if she was your friend? So I don't know what the hell you were just saying that made me triggered. Like, oh, you were talking about the abuse. Literally when you said like there was physical abuse that took place, my heart started pounding because it was like almost like PTSD for me. Like when you said that, I was just like, although I did not experience abuse in the extent that is like where you can physically see. No, like it was like a one-time instance. Like one time, it was like hands to the neck. But then when he did it, it wasn't even tight. It wasn't like nothing like crazy. It was just like this. And we both looked at each other and he looked like shook as fuck. And then he's like, get the fuck out. And I was like, no! I was like, this is my fucking apartment. He's like, get the fuck out. And I think for him, he was like, whoa, we've gotten to this space where I just literally put my hands on you. And it was alarming for him. It was alarming for me. Like, we could talk shit all day. Like, we can fucking break shit in the house all day. But the minute that hand went to the neck and, like, it was just like something, like, stopped him. He was like, well, what the fuck? Like, I got this angry that I had to do that. You need to get the fuck out.
This sounds like the Eminem song, I Love the Way You Lie with Rihanna. The way the depiction he has of that song, I'm like, that sounds toxic.
Right. Right. Abusive as fuck. We were very much, like, the abuse was, for me, was the mental and emotional. And the verbal, like, and that shit was like, I'm still working through that 3 years later.
And guys, verbal abuse
is
mental abuse. Emotional abuse is just as harmful as someone putting their hands on you. The only difference is if someone putting their hands on you there's physical scars. But with those other types of abuses, it's not physical, but it's something that your brain.
Yeah.
Any slightest thing that may trigger it, you might flinch. Certain things, like you wouldn't expect, like when someone says something or someone yells at you, you flinch because it's like it's not even flinching from someone putting their hands up. It's like you yelled, like that made me flinch.
I do this now with my friends, and I have to catch myself sometimes. I over-explain things, and they don't even ask for explanation. But because I'm so accustomed,
I've been like that too.
Right, like my ex used to, like whenever I would give him. He'll ask me a question and I'll give him an answer, but it's not sufficient enough, and we'll argue. And oh, you know, now all these things. So I over-explain anything I do, and I don't need to. Not with my friends, or even not with my family. But I've been so conditioned to do so because that was my relationship, and so I'm still trying to unravel that. I still do it to this day, and I'm like, just now I was telling Peggy about like the upcoming recordings. I'm like, yeah, because I have to do this and this and this, and she's just like, bitch, I didn't fucking ask you all that. Like, you didn't know. You didn't give me that face, but it was just like in my head, I'm like, why am I over explaining why I need to accommodate?
Because I do the same thing. Because I did the same thing with you. Because when I said, oh, we need to double record because I have a few calls of like, girl, you don't have to do that. I'm like, we could easily
just be like, oh, you know, I have something that I need to take care of. Done.
Here we go, talk about, well, actually, I have to go see my doctor. He got to check my tonsils, then my toes got to be done because I broke my toenail.
You could do so. You want.
You know what I mean? It's just too much.
So it's a list, and it's like, it's not like we want to. It's just our brain is so conditioned to do it that we don't think like we're over explaining. But the person that's listening is like, I didn't ask you none of that shit. I just want to know, were you free? Sorry. Sorry. Anyone who's ever heard me over explain, I'm sorry. It's not my intention.
Yes. I beat myself up all the time.
Sometimes after the fact, I'm like, why the fuck did I tell them all that? I could have just said I'm busy.
Yep. I'm still learning that shit. Even now, like, I remember saying, like, I'm going to, because I have a 2-year plan for myself, and so I'm starting to do things that
will lead up to that.
So things had to be cut back, or I had to stop doing, like, socializing a lot more and, like, frivolous with my money. I had to slow down. And then, like, just the being in spaces because I love this person, but I don't really want to be here. I was like, I'm not going to keep subjecting myself to that, right? Like, I don't want to be there, but that, just because I don't want to be there doesn't mean I want to be there for you. I just don't want to be in that space, right?
I have to learn to do that too.
Yeah. But it's so uncomfortable for me.
Saying no, it's not the vibe for me. And here's the thing, like, I feel like any of you guys who are watching or listening to us, we have to also understand as individuals, if our friends or family member or even a significant other has said they don't like these type of spaces, and they're saying they're going just because of you, but knowing that at the end of the day, they're going because of you, but they might feel uncomfortable, we need to stop expecting people to be in a location or a place that naturally they don't, it's not their element, they don't feel comfortable, and not be upset, because I don't take offense to someone. I may say, oh, why not? And they say, yo, it's just not my thing. All right, cool, I'll leave it at that. I'm not even going to stress it, because I've learned throughout the years as myself, I don't care for clubs. I've never been a fan of it. I've only went in the past because it was a friend's birthday, but now I'm learning this. Like, right before COVID, I had said, like, before COVID really shut us down, I said, I don't want to do no clubs. If it's a day party or a lounges are different. It's a different vibe for a lounge. Yeah. Or, of course, I'm a brunch person. You ask me for brunch or dinner, I will go. But, like, clubs where people,
no.
I don't want it. And I've been asked, and I said, no, I don't want to go. Like, even if for a friend's birthday, I'm probably like, I'm going to pass. I'm going to take you out. I'll take you out. We'll do brunch.
I say that's
But if you're going to end the friendship because I said, I do not want to go to the club, and I understand it's your birthday, but I don't, then that you're not a real friend. Yeah. Because we have to respect people's spaces and boundaries, and that's part of being an individual. Like, yes, I love you as my friend, or I love you as a family member, but you have to respect my level of comfort. I don't like those spaces. I don't like it, because when I get there, I'm gonna be ready to go.
I'm uncomfortable. I'm spending money I don't even want to fucking spend. Exactly. It's a whole thing. I think the only people that I've actually been able to just be like, I don't want to do that, and not feel guilty or not feel like I need to explain is Peggy and one other friend. That's it, because they're Virgos, so they fucking understand.
We get it.
Like, I don't have
our social battery is just
like, no, exactly. And Peggy's never, like, made me feel guilty for, like, not wanting to go to any of her events. Like, anybody who knows me, I think I've been to, like, 2 of your birthdays, like, social birthdays.
Yeah, because we always do our own thing anyways.
Yeah, and I always say, I'm not going, you know this, but let's plan a date for dinner or whatever. So there's that.
And I still send invites, though.
And then she still puts me in the group chats with these reminders. I'm just like, oh, God, girl, stop. Anyways, so with us having really toxic relationships, what I want to know, like, in a friendship, have you had to set, like, boundaries so that you can respect your individuality? Like, I don't know how to explain it, because I only have a story for, like, relationships, but I've never had relationships, intimate relationships. But, like, my friendships, I just feel like I filtered my friends enough so that I don't have to be that way. Like, if I say I'm not available and I don't want to do that, or I don't want to do this with you, like, I don't feel...
Good.
I don't know how to explain it. I hate it here.
Okay. No, so to go off what you were saying, because you talk about friends. Honestly, not so much. The friends that I have now, there's some event, over time, people that you were friends with over time due to distance and, like, life in general, like, you kind of you distance yourself, but not in a negative way. there's people that I was cool with in high school. Over time, we don't
Grew
talk.
apart.
We just grew apart, and it's natural. And it's
I had
okay.
this conversation with my sister. She's a little baby.
It's okay to grow apart in a good way. It doesn't mean ill will. Like, because the people I grew apart from, we follow each other on social media. If I was to have a big event or social event, yes, I'm going to invite them. More personal things, probably not, because it's like if you wouldn't invite me to something personal and we haven't connected on that level, I wouldn't expect you to invite me to those type of function. But if you're having like a social function, you invite me out and I'm available, I'm down for it. But as of now, the friendships that I have so far, if someone invites me to something and I feel like, well, this is last minute or I have plans, even if I feel like maybe I can squeeze it in, then I make it happen. If not, I'd be like, no, I can't do it, or I can't bring you, or I don't have the time. Like, sometimes it's weird because sometimes I feel bad after, but I was like, no, I have to tell myself, like, why would if I keep squeezing myself into things that I know I don't have the energy for or the time for it, I'm draining myself out. I'm draining myself because if they know they can't make it to something or they don't have the time to squeeze me in, and I'm pretty sure when they tell me no, they're not going to feel bad about it, why should I be feeling bad about it? Because that friend should be able to understand and respect the fact that we're all busy. If you're coming to me last minute about something, 9 times out of 10, it might be a no, because maybe my intentions were to just relax today and not do anything. Or
I have a hard time saying no to that. Like, when it comes to my family anyways. Like, my sister, I'm like, Sunday is self-care day. I'm going to be doing editing. I'm going to be doing all this shit. I'm going to be cleaning and all this great stuff. My siblings call me like, yo, you want to come over? Want to go to Dad's house? I'm like, I'm out of here. Like, last week, I'm talking to Maggie. Was it last week? I don't know what day it was. We finished recording. My siblings like, we're going to Dad's house. I'm like, I'm out of here.
Oh, yeah, it was.
I was like, I'm going with my family. Like, I have no concept of space and no when it comes to them, but that's because I just want to be around them all the time. But as far as creating individuality and identity in a relationship, what do you do to make sure that you have a clear, like in your relationship, because you're in a relationship right now, what are some things that you've incorporated in your relationship to be like, all right, I need to have my own hobby, my own friends, my own, like...
Well, part of it was the last relationship. And mind you, when I say last relationship, the last relationship I was actually in for a while. Not someone I dated for a few months and it didn't work out. Like, no. I took the time to really, like, get to know myself again. Do things that I like. This is how, like, in the gist of me being single, this is how all
How long were you single for? I'm so nosy. I'm nosy, but I know this information, but I want you guys to know this information.
Okay, so... 3 years? Because when I broke up with
you're not counting like the dating in between.
No.
Okay.
I don't count those because it's like this.
That was trial and error.
Yes. So about 3 years.
Okay.
2.5 years going on 3. Between those.
So in those 2.5, 3 years. Sorry, I know you probably want to answer this, but I'm asking these questions so you guys can know.
Yeah.
What were you doing for yourself to reconcile the past and become a better person for the next partner?
Sorry for yawning, guys.
I asked her if she wanted coffee. She said no. So no, I have bad energy. I had like 13 hours of sleep. So
what happened? So I'll say this is how like my small businesses came about. So those of you who know me, Peace Patties, Let's Body Utopia.
Ooh, shameless plug. Go.
Those were the 2 that came out during my time of singleness or whatever. Yeah, I was dating, but still was focused on that. I would say adding more time into the friendships, but I always made time. Like, so with that last relationship, what I will say, granted, he was always cheating and stuff, but we always hung around our friends. Like, yeah, we would do things together, but I always still was doing my dates with my friends, going out. So I always made sure that nobody, anyone who's been my friend, who has remained my friend, can ever say like, oh, Peggy got in a relationship, she forgot about us. Because if someone said that, you a damn lie. Because yeah, we may not hang out as often or whatever, but part of it was in my 20s I had time because it's like I wasn't really doing anything but work and go home. But now it's like I have things going on. I'm trying to, obviously I want to eventually have a family one day, but I'm older now. I have a career, knee deep into my career and in my other businesses, so that stuff does take time out of my day, and I want to make time for my friends and family. I may not be around as much. That's why when people have their little functions and stuff for their birthday, or hey, let's do brunch this week and hang out, I try to make sure I make time for that, because I don't have time to do it during the week. So I always try to make time for that on the weekends, but also making sure I have time for myself. But
that's so hard, especially when you become an adult.
Yeah, it is hard, and that's why I tell even my students, I'm like, look, all this time in the world that you have now, cherish it, because as you get older,
it gets harder. So the friends that you have now, if you still remain friends well into your late 20s, going to your 30s, cherish those friendships, and also understand that all the time you guys have to hang out and be on the phone, you're not. Okay, so talking about that, that transition to adulthood and responsibility, those friends, I've had friends who've had issues with, like, now I have all these responsibilities and I can't hang out as much, or I can't do these socializing events as much, and they automatically was like, oh, you changed. Yeah, isn't that what we're supposed to do? Isn't that the purpose of life? Like, I cannot be the 18-year-old Jessica at 25 years old, and nor can I be 34-year-old Jessica that I was
at 25. Well, the craziest thing, I've had friendships with, I've been grateful, honestly, with the few friends that I have, that I've had the type of bitches that I can go months without talking to y'all. Not too long, but like a month or so, and be like, you still alive? Like, random
bitches,
shit.
You dead?
Like, I'll text Jessica, like, hey, girl, just checking up on you. And then I don't get a response, and I'll wait 2 days later, like, bitch, is you dead? Like, I'll send her a gift.
She has no respect for the fact that I don't want to be, like, this time, I look at your text message, like, I'm not texting to her. And then I'll forget, unfortunately. And then she's like, bitch, did you see my message? And I'm like,
did you die? Are you okay? Like, I will do that. But I am grateful to have friends where it's like, we'll go a couple of weeks at a time without hitting each other up. Or like the way we communicate, for me, this is
memes.
Memes. So if my friend sends me memes through IG, that's communicating.
Okay, so I have a problem with that. Because, not you per se, because I see you all the time, but like the friends that, so people have this misconception that because you guys are like sending messages back and forth, funny videos, bad videos, sad videos, whatever, news, whatever, on a daily basis, that means that you guys are communicating. But I don't know what's going on in your life. Like, I don't know, like, where you are mentally, emotionally. I don't know if there's anything great happening in your life. I don't know if you've got a new job. Like, my friend, she just told us that she's pregnant. And I'm just like, oh my God, I feel like I have not seen her. It's going on a year. I have not seen this girl. And I'm like, that's unacceptable.
Whoa, okay, yeah, you're right.
Like, that I consider, like, she's one of my best friends. She's one of the friends that I can be like, I don't want to do that, and she won't feel no type of way. And she's pregnant, and I was just like, oh my God, I haven't seen this girl. Granted, she's keeping herself safe, her baby safe, due to COVID. Yeah. So I get that part, but I feel like, wow, I'm such a shitty friend because I have not even, like, asked her how she's doing mentally, emotionally. And that goes for all my friends. Like, my other friends are dealing with stuff just as much as I was dealing with stuff for the first 3 months. And I didn't know until they reached out to me, and I was like, oh, how's everything with you? Like, yeah, this is happening. And I'm like, holy fuck. I did not know that.
I mean, it happens.
I don't want it to happen. I want to be better at being...
You want it to be better, but there are times in our lives that we get caught up in our own shit. We have to understand that we have shit going on. Like, just like we said, we know people have shit going on. We have shit going on that you get so engrossed in your own shit that you forget to do a quick check-in. This is what I was doing. When COVID first hit...
I was checking on everybody.
When COVID first hit, like, when I realized that, oh, this shit is real. Like, people I was close with that I don't talk to every day, I was doing, like, random check-ins, sending them text messages, and I was writing on my Facebook post, like, hey, how y'all doing? Like, check in right under my post or whatever. And even people I don't see on the regular, people that I'm not really cool with like that, they would comment, like, oh, I'm doing well. It's just, you know, because some people may not have people to talk to, and you just posting something there might make their day, and they want to, comment under, and then you guys have an open conversation, like... Yeah. They didn't have to be my best friend, right? Yeah. And I do realize it wasn't being reciprocated where people were checking in on me mentally and seeing how I physically was. And that's funny because that's how me and my significant other kind of got together in a sense. Like, we already knew each other, but once COVID really hit, not me knowing that he was going through a health issue with his heart at the time, he was checking in on me to see how I was doing, knowing that I was working from home. Now, there are some instances I was like, what does he want? He's texting me. And I told him this. And I was like, I think one of the dopest moves he ever made was the week of Teacher Appreciation Week. You know, that's when people say, oh my God, we love the teachers. We see what y'all be going through. And then I said, you know what? I'm not going to hold on to this gratefulness for too long because y'all about to cuss us teachers out come September when you realize your fucking badass kid is still in the house in September. And September came and they were saying, we're not going to open schools yet because these numbers are high. We don't, and there was no vaccines yet. Still didn't know what the hell this shit was. And parents were upset. Oh, y'all lazy. Y'all don't want to go to work. We're still working behind a computer screen. You think I want to be sitting behind a computer screen by force? Extra time? No.
No, you lazy because you don't want a parent.
I'm pretty much your professional babysitter with a master's. I don't know, but
free of charge.
But honestly, babysitters can make more money than me.
Way more money.
He started hitting me up, checking in on me and stuff like that. How was things going and stuff. And then to a point where during Teacher Appreciation Week, he's like, "Oh, I wanted to get you something from Zaz." And I was like, "Okay, cool." I'm thinking he's just gonna bring over a sandwich. This man came in with a basket that had the food, with wine and a thing of flowers. He drove from Boston to Brockton. Now, mostly you regular smuggler bum niggas are gonna say, oh, he's a simp. No. He was applying pressure without me even realizing he was applying pressure. And he was just doing it out of the kindness of his heart, even though he was still interested.
The ones that call men like him simps are the ones that can't afford to even do that if they wanted to. So there's that.
And it was a simple gesture.
Yeah, it didn't cost him nothing.
No, not that much either. But the fact that he drove from Boston to Brockton, granted traffic wasn't crazy, but still you're trekking it down there and then they go back up. And he didn't even stay. He was like, I hope you enjoy it. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. And then he left. And I was
smashed on that sandwich.
Yo, I breathed it. I breathed it in.
Inhaled
it. Like, I'm full. So no, I really appreciate it. Till this day. I can be truly honest. Like when we do have kids, I will tell them like, this is how I met your father.
Your daddy applied pressure.
Literally, things I wasn't expecting. He did. Like I wasn't like expecting him to come all the way down here. I was expecting literally the sandwich, not all that other grand gesture stuff he was doing. But that's why I say with my friends, no one can ever say in any relationship I've been in, even the toxic ones, I still make time for them. That's why when the relationship finally dissolved and I told them this is what I was going through, they're like, bitch, you didn't tell me you was going through that. It's like, I didn't want to know.
Nobody knows. That's one thing about relationships like that. Like, you're so embarrassed. That you like fake the, like I used to just like graze over the problems. I'm like, oh, you know, I didn't communicate. I would use the same excuses he would give me about why it was a problem. So if my friends were like, I was like, yeah, I got into a fight with him. We got into an argument. It's because I didn't communicate. I forgot to tell him, but I really did tell him. He just was being crazy. Or like, oh, you know, we did make plans and I forgot and I still went out with you guys. Or we're saving money to buy a house and I was spending money and I shouldn't have. Blah, 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 blah. But they were all lies. Like, I definitely communicate. I used to over-communicate. That's a problem. I used to give them, like, a month's notice, 2 weeks' notice, week notice, a year notice, day notice, hour notice. So, yeah. But to track off of that, because we don't want to be dwelling in the problems. We want to be dwelling in the solutions to these problems.
Yes.
So, what do you do currently that allows you to have your individuality and still puts you on the same plane, like put yourself as a priority or like on the same plane for like give yourself as much attention as you do your friends and your family and your significant other?
Boundaries has helped, and I think with family, I really had to set the boundaries because Haitians don't respect boundaries. What is that? Boundaries? Like, what is that? They don't know what that is.
Yep.
So I literally had to set the tone like, yo, like, yes, I'm working from, especially it's because of COVID. I really had to set the tone because people thought, oh, you're working from home, you have time. No, I don't. I'm supposed to sit in front of this computer. Yeah, I step away to go use the bathroom, yes, but that's because I'm working from home doesn't mean I have more time.
Yeah.
Like, the shit I'm doing at home is what I would have been doing at school, except I would have been absent. My home would have been separate from work.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. But I really have to set the boundaries. If I say in advance, like, look, if I'm open to taking my mom out, I'll have time to do it. Like, I'll tell her, like, just let me know in advance. Like, yeah, I may have a week off, but I have plans. I want to relax. My mother doesn't understand what relaxing. Well, most West Indians don't know what relaxation is. Relaxation is like a bad word in a West Indian household.
It's called relax is equivalent to lazy.
Yes, relax. What is that?
Yeah.
I just want to relax. What is that? Like it's like a sin or something.
And God forbid you say relax and there's 101 things to do. Like the house needs to be cleaned, the laundry needs to be done, the grocery shopping needs to be had, the hair needs to be washed. All these things, right?
That ain't got nothing to do with me because I didn't ask to be here. But okay. That was really who I had to set boundaries with. But other than that, and boundaries, when I say with family, it's not really like with my siblings or anything like that. It's literally my mom. It's literally my mom.
Isolated to your mom.
Literally my mom. But everybody else is fine. It's like, my dad would be like, oh, are you coming down? If you are, let me know because I wanted to know if you would have the time to double back. Because my father understands I'm busy. So he'll ask me in advance. Or whatever, like, please, I know some Sundays you don't come down, but if you can come down this Sunday because I need your help for this bill or whatever, all right, cool. My mother don't care. I can come down for a whole week. Every single day that I come down, actually, I need this. And I'm like, I was just here yesterday. Why? Oh, I forgot. But anyways, friends, not necessarily, but, there are times I was asked to go places, and I'm like, no, I'm not feeling, because I remember back in the, there are a few times, and I wouldn't say in the past, I've still done it. Within the past year or two, there are times I really wanted to say no, I end up going, and then when you say you're supposed to say no, and then you get to the place you're like, damn, I should have said no.
Oh my God, this is exactly why you shouldn't have gone.
This is exactly why I stay in the house.
Yep.
So I've learned that when my gut and my heart say no, and my mind was already set on not going anywhere, I was like, nope, I'm sorry, unless you want to come over here, but I don't have plans to go anywhere.
Yeah.
With my significant other, we both in the talking stages. We literally have both said that we like our space. We get it that if marriage comes along, we understand we're going to live together. But I feel like, I wouldn't care if he was literally in the basement for a few hours and I was upstairs somewhere else.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be bothered. Well, I'll go downstairs and bother him, probably. But I would still give him his space or whatever. Because even now in our relationship, during the work week, we will probably physically not see each other. We'll FaceTime each other. But we will physically not see each other until the weekend because we both work. And when I get off of work, he's still working. But other than that, we respect each other's space to the point where people assume when I be rushing out of work, oh, you must be going to see your boyfriend. I'm like, I don't need y'all to mind y'all business. I don't spend time with my boyfriend after work. I got shit to do. And so does he.
Don't even get me started.
Girl. So people be assuming like once you get in a relationship, the moment you got to step out or go do something, they think you're going to go run off to your significant other. No. Maybe in my 20s, you probably would have got me with that. But 35, no. I got shit to do. And half the time, if I do go by his house, it's literally drop something off. I'm outside. Can you come get it? And I leave, I pull off and leave. But with him, me and him had already set the tone in the beginning when we were talking. Yeah. And the talking stage is like, we both like our space. Yes, we're going to make the best effort to spend time with each other, get to know each other better, date, actually do movies and do all these quirky things together. But we don't see each other all the time. Yeah. I can have a whole week off. I won't see him that whole week. Like, I'll make time. Like, oh, babe, I'll stop by. We can go do something. Like, prime example, my February vacation. I dedicated that break for self-care. Like, took care of myself. Like, the first Monday of February break, I went and got a massage, got my toes done, got my nails done. I think I went and got my eyebrows done a few days before that. And then that Tuesday, I said, hey, when you get off of work, we can go hit up Dave & Buster's. Just do something fun. It doesn't have to be somewhere we have to spend my money. Like, he got off of work. We left the house at 6. Went to Dave & Buster's, grabbed a few appetizers. We were playing, like, a couple of games. Had a good old time. And then went home, and then I went home after that. So it wasn't like, oh, we have to go to these expensive restaurants and stuff like that. But I feel like when it comes to your significant other, whoever you're dating, it's really important how you set the tone in the beginning. Because if you don't check certain things in the beginning, that's when things tend to unravel later. Because one, they didn't know. You never said anything to them, what you like, what you don't like, your love language. So you can't really get mad at them for that. But at the same time, when you do let it be clear, depending on when you tell them, it might take them a while because you took too long, who knows. But y'all both can work on that to understand, like, this is what I like, what I don't like, my space, I need this much attention or whatever. But I feel like it's very important that you set the tone in your friendships, relationships, and then when it comes to work. Okay. I had to learn to chill the fuck out when it came to work. and I know my job, they tend to use the guilt trip word, we're doing it for the kids. And my line in my head, I just be like, I love them. Because it's like, you can't use that line with me because I'm a little tangent. Here's the thing. People say that, you gotta, oh, this is what you signed up for. You gotta have the heart for this job. Yes, I understand that. But nurses and doctors, you need to have the heart to do those type of jobs. Those are still jobs that you're providing a service for a patient. You're providing love and care for that person, even if they're not related to you, right? Mm-hmm. They get paid for every single second they're there. As educators, we do not. If I am there from 8 in the morning till 3, that's the time frame I get paid for, my contractual hours. But if I stay till 7 p.m. that day, I don't get paid for those extra 4 hours I put in. I do not get paid for that, right? Mm-hmm. So there will come a time where I'm like, nope, I'm not. I literally have to tell myself, before COVID had hit, I said, I'm not signing up for anything else because I am dealing with my master's. So I had just started with my master's, and I was like, yeah, I need to focus. I'm not going to sign up for anything else. I might sign up for one thing, and then lo and behold, my boss just threw me into one thing. I was voluntold about this thing that I had to sign up for. All right, I've been doing it, and actually in the past 2 years, I've actually gotten great at it, right? But other things I had just stopped doing because I'm like, yeah, I'll stay after school for the required time that I'm supposed to stay, and after that I leave. Not that I don't care for the kids, but at the end of the day, if I drop dead right now, God forbid, they're going to have someone replace my position in a hot second, and then they'll make sure they have a full-time employee educator for the next school year. So what am I stressing myself out for? Yes, I will still do the job I was paid to do, but I'm still going to care for myself. I learned the last 3 years to set boundaries with work. If it's not fitting for me and I know the energy wouldn't be there, or I won't put my best in it, because I don't want to sign up for something, don't put my best in it, people complain about it, right? So I say no. I won't email back saying no, but I'll not fully explain, but I'll say, oh, during this time period, it would not be fit for me to join in this or partake in this program. Mm-hmm. And then they have to leave it. You can't force me to do something I don't want to do. So I've learned over the years to set the tone and set the boundaries, even with work. And I know with work, it can be a little different because you don't want your higher up feel like you're disobeying, I guess, and then you end up losing your job or whatnot. And I get work is a little sketchy, a little tricky sometimes, but I feel like you can set the tone and set the boundary for work as long as you're being respectful about it, without telling someone, well, I'm setting my boundaries. You can set your boundaries without saying I'm setting my boundaries. Yeah. So that's just how I feel when it comes to those.
I was in my head, like, when you ask a question and you didn't realize they were going to go off.
Shut up.
What was it? Did you talk straight for like 3 minutes? I think you did. Anyway, that's the one thing about Peggy and sometimes me. If I'm comfortable enough to talk around you, I will talk. But usually I'm very much quiet. Peggy can talk. Anyway.
I was the only child in the house for a while before my siblings came, so I was having conversations with myself.
This is why you can't have one kid. You have to have more than one kid. Or they're going to be like you.
And
I think Wilson could not handle 2 of you.
Shut up.
He's going to like, fuck out of here. You're going to get a dog or whatever. But I guess for me, when it comes to taking priority of my individuality and my own identity, things that I do to ensure that I don't lose myself in friendships, relationship, work, or whatever, I do a lot of self-care. I said in the very first season that 1 weekend a month is very much non-negotiable. Mm-hmm. Granted, doing this podcast has seemed difficult for me to do that. Not to say that's any Peggy's fault. It's just like navigating how that schedule is going to look for me.
Right.
But so self-care could be something just like facial, hair, like washing your hair, just staying home, staying in the house. Self-care could be like splurging on a bomb-ass dinner, like Peggy and I, we fucking drug dealers when we go out. Self-care could just be going and chilling with somebody that's gonna give you good energy.
Yep.
Or self-care could be being in bed all fucking day and just binge watching TV. That's self-care to me, and I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm not about to be apologetic about that, because some people are like, oh, you have all this time to do things, and you're just gonna stay in bed. Yes, the fuck I am, because I was doing things for 6 days out of the week.
The fuck you thought?
Shit. I was doing things for 29 days straight.
I want people to understand, we are not robots, okay? We are living flesh and blood, and you can get tired. I keep telling people, you don't want to sit your ass down, your body will do it for you. And you don't want that. Hospital. Because when it shuts down for you, you're hooked up to an IV at that point. So I tell people, look, I'm going to sit my ass down over here in this little corner. If I don't feel well, I'm not feeling it, I don't want to do it. Y'all got to respect people's time and energy. If people don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. And that's the thing. Same way when a kid tells you no, they don't feel like doing it, even though we take it as, oh, they have a little attitude, whatever. We have to understand, they may feel the same way, like, I'm just not in the mood to do it right now. It will be done, but just not in the moment that you want it done. That's why I tell people, look, if you realize someone don't want to do the thing you're asking them to, you just do it your fucking self at this point. Do it your fucking self, because you're not going to press me to do something that I don't want to do. I don't have the mental capacity to do right now because you want me to do it. Do it yourself. Because clearly you can do it. You just don't want to do it. You want me to do it. So do it.
I'm not even sure what you're talking about right now. I just got distracted.
No, because in a sense, you know how you said, like, oh, some people may say, like, oh, you have all these things to do, but you're literally in bed right now.
I hate those motivational speakers that be like, we all got 24 hours and we all have the same hours a day.
No,
and I was like, no, the fuck you don't. Like, you really don't come from immigrant household.
We do not have the same 24 hours. Yes, we all have 24 hours in the day, but we all don't have the same
24 hours. I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm not about to emulate anybody's fucking life about success and what that looks like for them, because it's not going to be for me. Success to me means being fucking happy with whatever I'm doing. And if me going and listening to you about fuck everybody else and gung-ho into your fucking career, or gung-ho into whatever it is that you want to do for yourself.
You're going to gung-ho right
and I'm going to gung-ho 6 feet under.
If you don't take the time.
And for me, I'm just like, it took me a very long time to accept who I was and stop trying to emulate other people, because I'm like, well, I'm not really happy here. But you know why I wasn't happy? It was because I was seeing everybody else accomplish all these things and they seemingly looked happy, right? And I was just like, wow, I wish that I could do that. Or I wish that, you know, I'm going to do these things so that I can get not necessarily what they have, but what they identify as success. Because in my head, I was like searching for success or what that felt like. And then I realized success is having a healthy family dynamic for me.
And you being healthy.
And me being healthy and happy. That's literally all I want for myself. Whatever that looks like for me is not going to look like that for you, and that's totally okay, because at the end of the day, I refuse to compromise my happiness to appease people and what they think I should be doing.
Yep.
End of story.
And I get it, as humans, we naturally... We're
very competitive.
Yeah, and we naturally
social media makes it so much harder to
it does. Because we'll look at someone and be like, oh, like I want to do that. I wonder how they got to that. And we talked about that before. Talk about what's for me may not be for you type of thing. But at the end of the day, we have to be real. And that's why I feel like your mindset really plays a role. Some of y'all may have real low self-esteem. So you look to these people or these influencers on social media. Half of these people who are influencers, you know how many times they have to constantly post content to make money? Like with me, if me and Charlotte said next week we don't want to record something, we probably won't record it. We don't have to if we don't want to, but we like it when we set up a schedule for ourselves so that in between us recording and posting and stuff, we have that break time where it's like, okay, we're going to record so that next weekend we won't have to record. We intentionally set up a time off for us. Because when we first started recording,
we were just flailing in the wind.
Flailing in the wind, recording every weekend. We realized, okay, this season we're going to do better now. We're going to intentionally record a certain amount so that we automatically give ourselves a weekend off to ourselves.
If anybody notices in season 1 and season 2, there were times where like I was like all in, gung-ho, kind of like very like present. And then there was days where I just wasn't present. It's because there was no time for my self-care that needed. My self-care is required because it's going to help me decompress, relax, and recharge, right? But I didn't have a recharge setting at all until it was like in between seasons. And at one point, because we wanted to monetize, well, we still want to, but I was like, we should just go straight through it. Peggy's like, I don't know if that's a good idea. I was like, no, let's just like pre-record and then we can just like go straight through. But what's gonna work for us is gonna work for us, and I'm just not about to fucking emulate somebody else's style of how they podcast or whatever the fuck they do.
Not have that type of time or lifestyle. So that's why I learned that I don't know what that person does behind closed doors. I only see what they post. So, and that's another thing. Like, I know this was a question we were asked, but I will get to that part to close it out. Is we have to understand with our individualities and our identities, we should not base it off of what we see online too. That plays a role in
it's
that
easier
too.
said than done, and you know that from experience.
Yeah,
I think with age and experience, we have learned that. I see my nieces still trying to navigate that, and I try to be the person that they can come to and just like regurgitate their problems or whatever, and not so much push what I think is necessary for them, but just give them another perspective. But it took me a solid, like in the past 4 years, I would say, it was when I was like, all right, I am happy with what I've created for myself and what I want to create for myself in the future. I have no regrets. I have no regrets. No regrets on what I did, what happened, and how I handled it. Because literally, if I did it any other way, I wouldn't be this person. So at the end of the day, I see my nieces trying to navigate life, and like they're going through a lot of what I used to go through at their age, and I'm just like, at first I wanted to control the narrative for them, because I see sometimes they might hurt themselves in the process, and I didn't want that for them. But I was like, yo, sometimes trauma ain't never, like my good friend said, Dee, trauma ain't never hurt nobody. It hurts you, but in the sense where like it's a painful growth, right? If you think about it, like the things that we go through that are like could be traumatizing and could dictate how you are in the future and how you process things. There's also a gift in that, because like if we were always fucking doing things the right way and having this happy fucking utopia, we would be so oblivious to reality, right? Like life is not a utopia, and it's not meant to be. It's meant to learn and grow from, and sometimes growth only comes from like trauma. Sometimes, as shitty as that, I would like to say that. I honestly, you don't think so?
No, listen, you know what was going through my mind when you were saying that? Because I feel like we're creating a society where it's like, what is that, a few years ago, where, you know, typically when you play sports, especially for kids, you have the top three, first, second, and third place winner. Now they're trying to create like the 10th place. I'm like, we need to get out of that, because you guys are creating a false narrative for these kids that when they get older, they don't know professional sports, there's only one winner. You don't see other teams getting a second place trophy because they didn't win the Super Bowl. Only one. Yeah. So you're creating this false narrative at the very young age. We're not gonna all win. Just like I may not get the promotion that I wanted. I may not get that job that I want.
But that's an opportunity for you, and like I'm just adding to what you're saying. But that's opportunity for you to learn what you need to work on, how you can better yourself, so that next time this comes up, this next promotion comes up, you are prepared for it.
Yeah. So when we create this false narrative on our children, like everybody's a winner. No.
That's fucking terrible.
Because that's fucking trash and it's fucking terrible. I'm not trying to tell people how to be parents, because you don't have kids. You don't have kids.
We were children at one point. We had parents, and we know what we did.
And I've lost games. I won second place. I won third place before. Did it hurt?
Like I said, I was never placed.
Did it hurt because I wanted to be first place?
Of course.
Yes, it did. But people have to understand, naturally as humans, we're going to experience painful moments in life, right? Yeah. We're going to go through things that make us uncomfortable, that we feel like, ow, that hurt my feelings, type of thing. We can't avoid any of those things, because if you want to avoid that shit, you literally have to stay in a bubble.
Yep.
That's the only way you can avoid it. You will not be able to avoid it. I don't want to be the person that intentionally causes that trauma for my child, no. Yeah. But I want to prepare them in the sense that I'm going to protect them the best way I can, but also let them know what reality is, because you shelter them for so long, they don't know how to act when they get hit with the real world shit, right? But I'm not going to say I'm going to pretend to be the real world and cause harm to my child, no. I'm going to protect them, but also let them be aware of what's really going on out there, because you shouldn't sugarcoat shit for them. Yeah. And it all depends on their age. You can't hit them with the hardcore life things at 5 years old, no. But let's be real, I think some of it, the way some of these kids are now, was like everything has to be done this way, and oh my god, the moment their nail breaks, oh my god, my life is over, woe's me. Like the group of teenagers I deal with right now at my school, these are the 2003 and 2004 babies. All my 80s babies, we were like, what, 17 when these kids were being born? And they were like, when I showed them the documentary about Google, when Google first started, it's like, oh my God. Like, I'm like, oh shit. I was like in high school when this shit was happening. And they were just being born. Like, it's fucking crazy. So,
that's crazy.
Being an individual, understand your identity, like Jessica had mentioned, it's all about growth and knowing you and obviously going through experiences, right? But who did I hear it from? It's also being honest with yourself. And that's another thing too with the individuality in your identity. Being honest with yourself at the end of the day. When you're not honest with yourself, this is where you keep getting these false narratives and these false perceptions, right? So I don't know when you want to add something because I was going to close out with that last question you created.
Oh yeah, no, let's go to the next question.
So our last question to ourselves: how do you reclaim your identity after dissolving a relationship?
Okay.
Reclaiming my time.
Reclaiming my time. How did I isolated myself so I can reflect. That's what I did. I moved to my own apartment and I isolated myself, although some people didn't respect that and kept pulling me out of the house. But for the most part, I didn't date. I didn't start another relationship until like well after a year. It was probably like a year and a half. And so that was my way, because I had to just like take a step back, look at where I was, where I needed to hold myself responsible for the problems, and where I'm going to like, all right, I no longer want that for myself in a relationship. And he did these things that got us to this point. Next relationship, I'm gonna ensure that when I see that red flag, I'm not gonna ignore it and paint it pink.
Yep.
Or put flowers on that bitch. No.
Thinking you're in a whole fucking circus.
Or just collect them and make a flower. Like, no, we're not doing that.
I think for me, something similar to you, like really hold myself accountable on certain things. Like, till this day, I don't have a problem. Like, I was being a little harassed in certain situations where I shouldn't have gotten to his face or anything like that, or I shouldn't have said that, should have.
I just don't see that from you. I don't know why. I just don't see. I've definitely done that. I just don't see that from you.
I remember when I was like, hood rat.
Hood rat.
Yeah, I know some of you are like, Peggy? That's not my Peggy. It is your Peggy. It isn't. It's me.
I mean, I was definitely that person. But no, like, me and him would just be.
I felt like it got to a point that this person was bringing me out of my character because I was so like in love with them, and then to feel like they weren't respecting me or respecting the love that I had for them, and they thought it was a fucking joke to them.
When I fucking joke to you,
like thought it was a fucking game. Like this is EA Sports. Like it is not. I'm not a fucking game. So, it brought me out of my character. Yeah. And so I had to teach myself, like, yes, as a human being, you get angry, but you have to learn how to. And I think part of being a teacher, too, has helped me with that. Because these kids be saying outlandish shit, and I'd be like, who are you talking to? Like, and I give them that look, like, they're like, oh, my bad, miss. I had to really teach myself, because if I was just now getting into the teaching game, I probably would have got fired in a hot second, because my temper and my attitude, no.
I don't. Okay.
You don't see it.
No.
But girl,
I don't think I think it's because when I'm in the spaces that we're in, like, together, I don't see you getting, like, wild like that.
No, because no one has got. It takes a lot to get me to that point, or I have to be passionate about something, or you would have to say something that you know me personally about, and you use it against me.
I think the first time I seen you even be upset was when we were struggling season 2 to just get videos out because the editing process was a fucking bitch. And the shit wasn't working, and we spent hours one night the next day, and she was getting irritated. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with her? Like, granted, it was fucking frustrating, but, like, I'd never seen her that upset.
It's either that or I start to cry. Last night, I thought I lost my wallet, and I found it, but before I found it, I had, like, inklings of tears coming out. I'm like, oh, my God, there's money in it. I have to pay my bills. This is not it. And then I was like getting ready to cry because I either get super angry to the point where I start to cry. I was so irritated.
Patience. It's teaching you patience.
Whoo, child. Not when there's money and cards involved, your personal information. But no, like, reclaiming my time, I feel like really taking the time to know myself. Like, and COVID honestly helped with that because
It was a blessing in disguise.
It was. And not for everyone, because we know some people
had to do
their mental state, it was different.
Death and
and dealing with death and family, being away from family members and stuff like that. But for me, it was time for really get to know myself, really understand myself, make time for me, focus on me and my energy and stuff like that. And even though I was chatting with people here and there, I was still focused on myself, getting to know myself, like, and seasonal depression did kick in. Yep. It always does. But I knew myself a little better, to the point that I recognized, like, when the seasonal depression started to extend itself well into spring, and I'm like, this ain't right. So I started therapy in 2019, and that was part of during my singleness. I'm still doing therapy. I'm not doing it as aggressively as I was before, like every week, but it was every other week. I'm still working on some things, and it's gonna get to the point where I'll tell her, like, I'll just see you once a month, and eventually just let it be for a little bit, and then
quarterly, annually,
quarterly type of thing, like every 2 to 3 months.
I mean, therapy isn't for like a long term thing. It's not for like forever thing. It's just to provide you tools so that you're able to navigate when future issues come about.
Yes. So that's why me and Jessica always say, like, therapy.
Yeah.
Because they provide you with the tools and resources that your friends and family cannot provide. And their advice is going to be unbiased, because they don't fucking know you. They know you as their client, but they don't know you. So they're not going to sugarcoat it. They're going to tell you. And they're going to ask you questions. And a good therapist is going to give you homework. Like, starting for you to really dig deep things and be like, damn, that made me feel uncomfortable.
Right.
But you have to be uncomfortable in order to grow. So, yeah, you can go to your friends, but you can't dump everything on them.
No.
And they got their shit too, so you can't do that.
Yeah.
And then
I had to, it's a lot. Maybe it's another conversation about friends. But it is what it is. Anyways. Sorry to cut you off. I was going to say something, but I'm like, it's going to drag this fucking thing off for another 30 minutes.
Yeah, so.
We ain't got that.
Per usual. We're going to go into our business shout out, like we always do at the end of every episode. This week's business shout out is Patty's Cakes, number 14. So she's done my birthday cake one year when I did my winery theme cake. Winery theme birthday. And then she's done the rum bunt cake for me a couple of Thanksgivings, for the last couple of Thanksgiving, and it's been a hit with my family. Like, they love it. She put a good amount of rum in it, I'll tell you that much. It's really good. She only has an IG page. She does not have a website. We'll put it in a description when we post and share. But for those of you who want to go ahead and check her IG page out, it's Patty's Cakes number 14. So PATTYS CAKES 14. There's no spaces, no underscores, nothing. It's just straight through. But yet again, we appreciate you guys for checking us out this week. Catch up on episodes 1 and 2.
Crap, I'm tired, guys. Even though I had 13 hours of sleep. Anyways.
Peace, y'all.
Bye, motherfuckers.